Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
What is up? Glad you could join us. He's Matt Shepard. I'm Sean Baligian.
I almost jumped in on you there.
Go right ahead. Do it. Jump in.
I always look forward to our conversation on Mondays. I was really looking forward to this one probably more than any other, just because of what took place Saturday night. I was thinking about you Saturday night. I saw a lot of your tweets. I was smiling. I was retweeting a lot of the stuff. How great was that for the game of hockey? I'm not saying because they're fighting, Sean. I'm talking about the skill level and everything they've done. Have you noticed? I know you have. Have you noticed how other leagues are going, man, the NHL got something right? Think about the NBA, Sean. Think about what they've had to deal with. You got one of their stars, LeBron James, saying, we got to fix something. You got another one of their stars, Draymond Green, saying, the NBA is giving me a warning that I'm too aggressive and that the game is boring. And you've got the defending world championship coach saying earlier this year he doesn't watch the games. And then you get the NHL doing this. Oh, on top of that, by the way, the brutal all-star weekend that the NBA had. It was embarrassing. It really was. They're trying to fix it. And now what have you heard, Sean? Giannis Antetokounmpo, some of the other players are like, maybe the USA against the world would be a good idea for an all-star game. I don't think it's any coincidence that it comes right after what took place Saturday night. Am I wrong?
No, but I will say this before we give the NHL too much credit.
Okay.
The fact that it was 9 years is disgusting. It is. Okay. It's disgusting. And okay. I think to hear all the younger players talk about how they've been waiting for this moment, the Kachucks and McDavid and McKinnon and Makar, these guys never got to experience this. Shep, you and I grew up in a world, and I'm sorry to get geeky. You guys, YouTube is your friend. Use it to your advantage. I watched Canada Cup. I got a chance to go to Canada Cup in both 87 and 91. Wow. And then we had the World Cup of Hockey in 96. And then it came back, if you remember, the 04 was kind of a blowout. And then you had all those Olympics. And then for whatever reason, the NHL decided, nah, we don't want to do that stuff anymore. There is nothing like when the boys put the crest of their country on their chest. I'm sorry, there's nothing like it. There's 100%. It is unbelievable. There's a pride, there's a jump that you don't get elsewhere. You really truly don't when it's the best versus the best. It was I'm not joking, Shep. I think you and I are cut from the same cloth. I don't like overstatements today. Everything's the best you ever saw, and this is the greatest you ever saw, and that's the great. That first period from start to finish, pound for pound, was the best period of hockey I've seen in forever. I mean, it was that good.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing on Twitter, and people were bitching at me saying, did you ever hear the 1980 Miracle on Ice? I'm like, just hold on a second, okay? You and I, neither one of us get caught up in that stuff. But the Team USA against the Russians in 1980, it's the greatest win America's ever had. That doesn't mean it was the greatest game or the greatest period I've seen. That's all. We can disagree on that. That's fine. So to the NHL thing, I agree with you. You know me. I love the game of hockey because I love the people who are associated with it. I think they're just good people. They're down to earth. They're much like us. They would sit in your backyard, ask for a rib, give me a brew, let's just chat. Okay, that's who they are. I think they're some of the best, if not the best athletes to deal with. But at least the NHL did it. So I'm going to give them some props there. Should they have done it a long time ago? Yes. Were they derelict in stopping what looked to be a really good thing going? Yes. But at least they recognized something and did it. The other thing I would ask you is, I would not want this every year. And I think we have a dangerous belief in our society, and it's primarily in sports, and that is we see something new, we gravitate toward it, and then we want to see it over and over and over again. And I think what we need to do is make sure this is special. I don't know if you put the All-Star game back on because people don't like it, fine. But at least you're not changing all kinds of different formats like they do in the NBA. If this was every single year, I think it would lose some of its luster.
I agree with you 100%, Shep. 100%. I think that's what was special about Canada Cup, and is 72, I don't remember it. Sorry. I was all of one or whatever. But 72 and then 76, and then they skipped and went to 81. And then, I still say the greatest hockey ever played in 1987. Poor Larry Murphy was never going to touch the puck. And then 91, where they had some of the exhibition games here in Detroit. And then it went away. And then all of a sudden, the World Cup of Hockey came in 96. And that was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And obviously, the Kachuk's old man, a guy by the name of Keith, played a prominent role in that. And then the Olympics came around, and it was special. There was that's one thing that, and it always makes me laugh because, Shep, I think the NBA fans and NHL fans like to take shots at each other because we're both redheaded stepchildren. We're living in the shadow of the famous big brother known as football. Okay, sure. Football's king in this country. I'm a hockey fan. I'm as big a hockey fan as you'll find. Football's king. Nobody can deny it. And the one thing I will say that the NBA and basketball gets right is, every 4 years it's going to be the best and the best in the Olympics. And that's it. Everybody stops what they're doing. Everybody wants to watch it. So I give a tip of the cap to basketball for that. Why that stopped after 2016, Shep, maybe it's because the Olympics were in the season. That could be an argument. Canada back in the day was always in September. It was always a month before the season, and maybe you don't want to get hurt and start the season before. So maybe for the NHL, it's timing, but I got to give kudos to the world of basketball. At least every 4 years you're going to see the best versus the best in the summer, and it pisses me off we don't get that in hockey. It pisses me off to no end.
I get it, but okay, it's every 4 years, and in between those 4 years, are you seeing the best against the best in any form whatsoever other than the NBA Finals? And you still may not be seeing the best of the best. It's just the best team in the NBA right then and there.
Sure.
So I could you not say the same thing is happening in the NHL with the NHL Stanley Cup Finals? I don't know. My point is that I don't want it to get worn out. I wouldn't want it every 4 years, but if you gave it to me every 2, it might be something similar to the Ryder Cup, is what I've said. Wouldn't mind looking at that type. What does the NHL do in between? I don't know. All right. I don't have the answer to that. But what they need to do, Sean, is they need to capitalize on this momentum, whether the United States wins Thursday night against Canada or not. And I think that's going to be a really tough task, especially because Cale Makar will be back in for Team Canada. But what the NHL needs to do is capitalize on how great this is. You saw it, 4.5 million viewers. There's going to be a hell of a lot more Thursday night, Sean. There will be. There's going to be people are setting the DVRs. People all around the world, not just hockey fans. You're opening up a door to so many different people. How many people who may not be no one's as big a hockey fan as you, but may not be as deep, but they love the NBA and the NFL. Those athletes are watching. I'll guarantee you, there's going to be NBA guys on TNT set or whatever. They're watching that game, and the NHL has got to capitalize on it if they want to grow their game a little bit more from a standpoint of marketing and so on.
Lots of comments. I want to get to them in a second, but I Shep, if I may, let me piggyback on what you said, and I'll throw this as a caveat. Why not bring back the World Cup of Hockey every other year to go against, like, for example, if the Olympics are in 2026, have the World Cup of Hockey in 2028, then have the Olympics in 2030, then have the World Cup of Hockey in 2032. So you're talking about every 2 years. And I want to get our old buddy Louis said, this is pretty good. I agree with you guys, especially Shep saying it could lose its lesser. However, do we only like this because the USA is kicking ass? No. Shep, you know what? It's a good question, but all I can do is answer it showing my age, okay? Canada and the Soviets in 72 is one of the most famous series ever. Canada and the Soviets in 87 is, in my mind, again, the greatest hockey we'll ever see in our lifetime. Everybody and their brother was watching that. And I'm telling you, in 1987, hockey fans are going to watch regardless. Now, the average fan, I think Louis has a point. Maybe he won't turn in if the USA is not playing. But, Shep, guys like us and anybody watching this right now, you're damn right I'm going to watch. I don't care if it's Slovenia taking on, an upstart Switzerland.
If there's NHL players, and that's what I think is the key to this whole thing.
Yeah.
The Four Nations is that all these guys are NHL players.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's a difference because it's name recognition. To Louis' point, though, and I think it's a very valid point. One of my poll questions last week was, are you watching the Four Nations tournament? Yes, every game. Yes, but just the Team USA plays, or no, not at all. Most of the people who voted on the poll, quite a few, and most of them said yes, but only the games in which USA plays. So maybe that's part of it. I find it interesting just because every player on Team Canada. Most of the players on Team Sweden. You may not know as many people on Team Finland. That's what I think is the beauty of what this tournament is. Okay. I think it's so appealing to people because you recognize that they are in the NHL. You can go look them up. You can't do that in the NBA All-Star game with the slam dunk competition.
Yeah.
Okay. The guy who just won it for a third straight year is a G League player.
Yeah.
Kudos to him. I'm not knocking him.
Yeah.
But these are the same guys you're following on a regular basis.
It is awesome. I had it when I was working for USA Hockey. I had a chance to call some of those games, and Clem Costin scoring a goal to beat the Americans with a minute left and blowing kisses. Like, I wanted to be mad at him. He's doing that on American soil, but it's like, good for you, kid. Like, that's pretty stinking cool. And I got to be honest with you, I'm having vibes, and this is my geekdom. I'm having vibes going back to 2010 because, Shep, I remember the spontaneous celebrations when the United States beat Canada in the prelims. It was 5-3, and they really had their way with them. And if you remember, Canada had to play the tougher slate in the goal round, and U.S., if I remember, it was Switzerland and then Finland. And they met again in the gold medal game, and that was when Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal. So while there were all these celebrations, they can ruin the celebrations on Thursday night. Canada can ruin those celebrations in Boston on Thursday night.
And Chris Pronger, I don't know if you read this recently, but Chris Pronger was asked which of his gold medals mean the most, and he said that one.
Yeah,
he said that one because Team USA had beaten them earlier in the series, and then people had counted them out. And that's what I hope, look, Matthew Tkachuk's not playing tonight. Austin Matthews isn't playing tonight for Team USA. Dylan Larkin's the third center. Good for him. You got a different Ottinger. I think Jake Ottinger's in net. Okay. So good for them. But Thursday, you're going to be at full strength. Canada will be at full strength. Let's see who the best team is, because that Canadian team, the speed and the skill is some sick stuff. And Nathan McKinnon, after their game earlier today, in which they beat Finland, it was a little dicey at the end, but a 5-3 final. He said, look, we know we're as good as that team. They're ready for them. So there's not going to be any surprises, brother. You know that.
Connor McDavid is the best player in the world, and I will hear no other argument. Just watching him go.
Did you watch him today? Did you watch him today?
Shep, it looks fake. He's at a different speed than everybody else. It really, I could line him and Dylan Larkin up, and they might have a pretty good race. They might have a pretty good.
Nathan McKinnon too. Nathan McKinnon.
That was the third one that I was going to put in there. But there's something different when you game speed. It's fake. It is that one sequence on Saturday night where he started behind the net and went to the half board, the far half board, and he was just zigzagging. It was like, okay, that's like watching a movie where somebody sped it up on my VCR.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like somebody put a firecracker in his ass and said, go. He was unbelievable.
Gosh,
he's the most beautiful skater. I think you and I had this conversation. I think you might have said Paul Coffey, maybe Mike Gartner.
I love watching Quinn Hughes skate. I love it. If people get it, watch Quinn Hughes skate. He's beautiful. He is. Don't get me wrong. McDavid over there. I love watching Quinn Hughes skate. It's beautiful. It's effortless. It's. And I saw it up close, so I'm not trying to be snobby. I'm just saying it's. Oh my gosh, it's breathtaking to me. It's just.
I could have seen him a lot more had they made the right pick. But anyway, it's fun to watch. You're right. It's fun to watch the best of the best.
Yep.
Because you're not getting cheated. There's nobody resting here. There's no load management. This is the best of the best, and it's beautiful to watch. It really is.
Oh boy.
Did you like that?
Yeah, that was good. Dylan, let's go. Good evening, boys. Tom in London, Ontario. How are you, buddy? That was some epic hockey Saturday. What an awesome game that was Saturday. I can't wait for Thursday. NHL needs to blow this up, make it bigger on ice and advertising it. Boy, Dave, you bring up such a great point.
How do you make it bigger?
Shep, you know what? I think getting word out there. There were so many people that didn't know what this was.
No shit, Sean. That's because the NHL doesn't do anything. Here's what they do. Here's what the NHL does. We're going to put our ads on TNT because they carry our games. ESPN, who's going to ignore us and play more women's basketball than the NHL. And the NHL Network. Now, I will say this. My wife and I were watching a series. I think Sunday. It was Sunday. It was yesterday. And up popped a promo for the Four Nations Cup. Or the Four Nations Tournament. Or Four Nations Face-Off. Whatever the hell you want to call it. So I thought, oh, good for them. Popping something up on HBO Max. That's great. How else do you do that? I don't know why they feel that their broadcast partners are the only place they should advertise, number one. And number two, why their broadcast partners, specifically the four-letter network, just does not hold up their end of the bargain, if you will. I had a guy, Greg Wyshynski, who from ESPN, their senior hockey writer, good guy. Mm-hmm. Writes some good stuff. And I said to him, before I said goodbye to him, I said, could you do me a favor? I said, either jump on the air with them on TV, switch platforms for a little bit. I said, because I watched the other day and I was hoping for a big preview of the Four Nations face-off. I got a little B-roll, 2 sound bites, 40 to 45 seconds. It was followed by a minimum of a 3-minute pack on UCLA USC women's basketball. That's what you got. Okay? So and the NHL, I guess they feel okay with that. Now, I'm not saying they should go to, one of those networks that used to be the Outdoor Network. Remember when you and I were at DFN?
Versus. Yeah.
Yeah, or Versus. Yeah, it became Versus. When you and I were at DFN, I remember we would have these conversations, and I used to stick up for the NHL, and I said, good for them. If the ESPN is going to treat them like redheaded children, go someplace that's going to, love them and nurture them and grow the game. Couldn't do it, right? I suppose this is what you have to deal with when you don't have many broadcast partners. I just can't figure out why those broadcast partners don't make it a bigger deal, specifically ESPN.
It was amazing to me, and I think this goes to David's point. People that I know, people in this business, Shep, were asking me as recent as a couple weeks ago. So is this the best juniors? Is this like one of those tournaments that they have at USA Hockey Arena? And like nerds like you and I would hear it and go, huh? How don't you know about this? This is and it's unfortunate because people want to watch this. And I think 4.4 million viewers the other night cannot be wrong, by the way. We'll get to more of your comments. We're going to try to blow through this. I just want to see if JT Miller goes after his former teammate tonight. That's all I'm waiting to see. One of the world's angriest men, JT Miller. When it comes time to get Whether you're buying, selling, or both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? That lady right there, Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you will ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business, and when it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, even first-time buyer. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Bill said, do the Americans play all out in a meaningless game this evening? That's a good question. I think they're going to go. Is it going to have the tenacity and ferociousness that we saw on Saturday night? You can't bring that. You can't replicate that. You just can't. That was
duplicate that.
Yeah. You can't do it.
I would say
national anthem.
I would say, yeah. No, you're right. I think I hate the word meaningless, even though this game. Like, I think it means something to Sweden from the standpoint, Sean, they don't want to go winless in this tournament. And I think if you believe in momentum, and I don't necessarily believe in game-to-game momentum, but I think there are players who, Jack Eichel would like to get on the board. He would like to be, I'm sure Kyle Connor would like to log more minutes. I'm sure Dylan Larkin would like to log more minutes and show, what, this is what I can deliver here against Sweden, who's a pretty damn good hockey team. And I might get more minutes on Thursday against Canada. I bet you there are some guys who are thinking to themselves, you know what, I want to at least play really hard and really well so I know I'm in the lineup against Canada. So I don't know how meaningless it truly is. I remember we were talking about this during the Lions game against the Vikings. Well, it's not going to really mean anything. It would if it was a tie. So I think there's meaning in this game, but I don't think you'll see the same type of emotion that we saw on Saturday, because that's almost impossible to duplicate. I don't know if you can see that on Thursday, to be honest with you, at least out of Team USA.
Intent to Deceive said they all grow up playing best in the best in hockey. I think that matters. World Junior Championships, that's why I said every year. It's a shame more people don't understand that. Bill, any thoughts on the national anthem booing trend? I think it's horrible. And I'm glad that multiple players on Canada said something. Sidney Crosby did. Drew Doughty said things. There are many reasons to be pissed off for this, that, and the other thing. Okay. But I don't care who it is. And by the way, consider the source. I'm somebody that thinks that Russia should be in this tournament and should be 5 nations, but that's a story for a different day. To boo a national anthem, come on. It's silly. It just is. I
don't get it. Those, as somebody said, I think it was Brad Marchand said, like, the players, he feels bad for the Team USA because those players didn't do anything.
Yep.
This is another example of why I think sports, and quite honestly, I think entertainment too, you need to leave politics out of it.
Yep.
Because not many people win when you do that stuff. So, Tom Hanks, you want to do that on SNL? Don't be upset when people call you out. If people are doing this at a sporting event, don't be upset if somebody said, I've had enough of this stuff. Because I think a lot of people, it's overkill. Okay. They're tired of the political statements in every walk of life.
Yep. Jason, get rid of the All-Star game and do this every non-Olympic year. Louis with a good question, because this takes me back to 2014. Okay.
Can I ask this question? What do you do instead of the All-Star? I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm asking a question. Is it just, do you go without an All-Star game? We all know the only All-Star game that is really an All-Star game is the Major League Baseball.
100%.
So what should if you were in charge of the NHL, let's say we did this, there's no NHL All-Star game. Okay. What do you do?
I would have I still think the skills competition, I'm fascinated by it. I love watching things like that. The hardest shot still gets me. I think some of those relay things. I think the 3-on-3 tournament is something that maybe would interest people. I don't know. Play shinny or something. I don't check out the game. I haven't in years. I really have. I remember there was one game when I was a kid. It was like 16-6 or some crap like that, and I was like, "This is garbage." I seriously,
Okay, so how do they draw you in?
I like the skills competition. You know, the thing, Shep, that I think sometimes we as adults have to remind ourselves. Sometimes there are things that are great for kids.
Yeah,
Sometimes there are things that are great. I reminded myself of this watching. I was so done with the home run derby. I'm not going to lie. I was so done with the home run derby. And then, Shep, you know what? I realized it wasn't about me. When I was watching my son watch it like this, it was like that light that flickers every now and again came above my head like the cartoon, and it went. It was like, this isn't about you, dumbass. This is about kids.
No, but how many kids are staying up at night watching the dunk contest and the home run derby? So I get it if it were a little bit earlier. How old is old enough for a kid? All those things are come in question. I think it's run its course. Okay, I'm sorry. I think it's run its course. I love your suggestion because I love the skills competition too. But here's what the leagues will tell you, because I've asked people at the league level about this. They're like, it's supposed to be a weekend. It's not supposed to be a day. They want people into a hockey city, NBA city, Major League Baseball city, and they want something on a Saturday and something on a Sunday. So it forces people to go there and not just go in and back out of the town.
And screw it later. I love what Louis said here because I do think we have short memories. Okay. Louis said, would people still be behind this if Canada was just running away with it? Before anybody answers that, okay, I think people were sick and dog tired of it in 2014 because that Canada team was an absolute wagon. That defense core may have been the best defense core ever created. And oh, by the way, if you got past their defense core, you had prime Carey Price in net.
Yeah.
You weren't going to beat them. That was more often than not, you weren't going to score on them. So there was almost, as I watched that tournament, there was almost a, okay, who's gonna win the silver medal type of feel to it, if that makes sense, Shep.
Yeah, I get it. But I don't think you have that discrepancy any longer. Look, you and I talked about this, I think it was last week, and we've mentioned it more than once. And I always give you credit for this. Everything changed in 1996 when the National Team Development Program was born. Okay. And what you've seen now is I saw an article about this the other day, the percentage of active NHL players by nation. American players have gone from 17% to 30% since the induction of the National Team Development Program. When you have guys coming out of there, like with all these different names, we could bring up all these different names, right? And including many who are on Team USA right now, then you feel like you've done exactly what you had to do. A guy you and I have both covered before, Jeff Jackson, won a couple of national championships at Lake Superior. He really started it. It was a really good article in The Athletic where it took a while for it to catch on. But once it did, they really took off, whether it be Eric Johnson or Patrick Kane or Austin Matthews or Jack Hughes, whatever the case may be. So I don't think you're going to see that type of discrepancy that you're just referring to in 2014. So maybe people are a little bit more willing to accept it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Shauner, stop being a Michigan slap with all that Hughes talk. Wow, you know me, man. I can't keep the maize and blue out of my mouth. So
okay, well that means Sean. Sean, just talk about Justin Advocator.
Or Ryan Day. Yes, I forgot, Todd. Well played. Jim said getting Russia involved would be a great step forward. Couldn't agree more. We do not understand Gary's genius having every game on a different channel and not advertising whatsoever. Yes. Any prediction on how loud the American anthem will be booed in Boston on Thursday night? Yeah. Angry person, JT Miller or Doug Todd? JT Miller. JT Miller is just
close. It's close.
He is an angry human being, man. When he was with the Whalers, when I was doing the games, I would say things to him to try to make him laugh, and he would give me like this look, and I was like, I really don't want this kid to beat me up, so maybe it's best if I just stop talking
I
to
think
him.
you did the same thing with Doug Todd, but continue.
Yeah. The normies saying the Kachucks fought off the drop because the anthem getting booed are driving me crazy. You are 100% right. They fought to set the tone. It had nothing to do with the anthem. The booing has been happening for weeks when they boo hockey players because they don't like our president. I do not understand it. Austin, to your point, and Shep, I'm sure you saw this. They talked about that in the press conference.
They did.
They were in a text group with J.T. Miller, who was probably angry and putting angry emojis up there. But they were all talking about how they were going to do this to set the tone.
Yeah.
Oh,
but the anthem did have something. I do believe the anthem had something to do with it. I'm not saying that's the primary reason.
Oh, sure.
Don't tell me that it wasn't a factor. It was.
Dante said, could the NBA add a 4-point shot to the All-Star game just to add some excitement to that game? Something has to be done, right? Something has to, almost like
I don't know what's the fetish in our society. What is it in our society where we think everything's got to change in order for it to be better?
Yeah.
Sometimes less is more. Sometimes it's okay to admit, you know what, this is a really good format. So, how about this? Give a shit. If players actually give a shit, it'll make the game better. Is that too much to ask for? If you don't want to play, and you're not going to participate fully, then just say I'm not going. There's other guys who will take your place. If you actually played the game and played a little defense, we're not asking you to play lockdown, okay? We're asking you to show a little bit of pride. I think it would be okay, and people would understand a little bit more. But
we have a celebrity in the chat, and he's going to get mad at me for saying this, but he wore the USA jersey for the 1994 Olympic team, and he just chastised both of us, Shep, and said, how are you not watching?
We are, Mark.
We Mr.
Orlando Solar Bear. We are watching, okay?
I'm watching over Shep's shoulder.
Yeah.
Now, you know what? We would have gone early tonight if the game meant something. Like, seriously. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to watch. Don't get me wrong, but we're not doing anything Thursday night. Hey, let me tell you.
Out of curiosity, if Mark's in the chat, is he watching?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's watching. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Mark can be in the chat and
still
watch
over your back. Yeah,
right.
He's watching over your back. I remember 94 in Lillehammer, both. Come on. Hey, did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents, and they provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Our friends at Legacy have helped listeners and my family by fixing mistakes other agents have made. They've asked the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you, and yes, help save you money. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're probably paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Call these guys. They're big hockey fans, by the way. Come on, that's an added bonus, isn't it? Give Legacy a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get your quotes. Look at both said, move a little bit right there. I'm watching.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Who's been the player you've enjoyed watching the most so far for Team USA?
Okay, yeah, I've said this before, and I have a crush on Brady Tkachuk. I do. I have a crush on Brady Tkachuk, and I think what people are seeing right now is the difference a guy like that makes. And I know he's not a lot of people's favorite here. You would take him on your team. Brady Tkachuk would be arguably one of the biggest stars in this town if he was a Detroit Red Wing, and I'm convinced of it.
You know, it's funny, Sean. A month ago, I had a guy call into the show and say, actually, it's more than a month ago because the Red Wings were struggling. And I said, you could tell there's just something not there. And this guy says, give me the guy that you would want on this Red Wings team if you could. And I said, well, you're not going to get guys like McDavid or Draisaitl or Austin Matthews or anybody like that, or Kucherov. You're not getting them, okay? I said, but I brought up Brady Tkachuk. That's the guy I would love to have on the team. the guy I've enjoyed probably watching as much as anybody outside the Michiganders. So let's give credit where credit is due. When you've got guys like Connor Hellebuck and Kyle Connor and Dylan Larkin and Zach Werenski, love Zach Werenski. I've really enjoyed watching Charlie McAvoy play.
He's tremendous.
Yeah, he's been really impressive.
He's tremendous. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he really Connor Hellebuck, by the way, a Michigan high school guy, I might add. Played just up the road for Walled Lake, and you know what? And a chance to change his rep. Let's face it, this is a guy that regular season guy. You don't want him in the playoff. You don't want him in the big game. And the other night, let's face it, Shep, I know I said this to you last week, and we said it on What the Puck. If anything, that'll be Canada's undoing this year. When you think of all the long lineage of incredible goaltenders they've had at the international level, okay? You've got Jordan Binnington, Aiden Hill, and Sam Montembeault, who's the second best goalie on his own team, I might add, as your three goalies, okay? Yeah. This isn't prime Carey Price. This isn't Bobby Luongo. This isn't Brodeur. This isn't Waugh. This isn't Belfour. That
Chris
really,
Joseph. Yeah,
it's soft under. It's a soft underbelly.
But Sean, before today, so everybody was complaining about Binnington, and I said, hold on a second. He gave up 2 goals against Sweden, and they won. And he gave up 2 goals against Team USA, and they lost. But how come people are blaming Binnington? I didn't think the Gensel goal was particularly a good goal. But where's the offense against Team USA? You're going to blame it on the goaltender. I thought it was.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is I don't think any 3 of these are the guy that's going to grab you by the scruff of the neck and win the game either.
I agree with you. Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just saying I thought he took a lot of the blame for the loss against the Americans, and I'm not sure he was necessarily deserving as much criticism as he received.
Sean, if Brady was a wing, man, this team would be unstoppable. Sean, your boy Werenski has been really impressive. Never asked Fleury to play. 40 years old. Brady Tkachuk or Johnny Boychuk, one good punch, I'd flatten Johnny Boychuk. I just don't even get me. I'd flatten that son of a. Don't tell him I said that, okay? Don't let him know I said that. Sweden has the best uniforms in this tourney. I love the Trey Connor. I do. I think it's awesome. The 3 crowns. I think their jerseys fantastic. I've always felt that way.
Yeah, I like it too. I know it's not Finland. They don't have the best. I can tell you that. There's something about the Canadian Maple Leaf that I kind of am endeared to a little bit. So, I mean, obviously Team USA is, I would love to have one of those jerseys. I just think it's clean, right? But anytime you see the Canadian Maple Leaf, it's pretty awesome.
I don't like the stars on the shoulders. I got to be honest with you. I think the jersey's awesome. To me, the stars on the shoulders almost take away from it. We were noticing it the other night. It was like, no, that's a beautiful jersey. Why do you have to put the stars on the shoulders? It's Captain America. Like,
so just have it clean. You're saying no stars.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
I get it.
Both. Why don't you send us a picture of your Olympic jersey? All right.
That'd be sweet.
Hey, if you're ready to take charge of your financial future, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville and owned by the Hanson brothers right there with over 20 years of industry experience. That's Mike Cusack and Jeff Cusack. These guys understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, you're already in retirement, these guys can and will help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They're doing it for my family right now. They work with clients throughout all stages of life, and they have clients in over 20 different states. The investment world is a complex one. And if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, reach out to these guys, okay? They're experts. The Wealth Advantage Group, 248-773-8574. Check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. USA needs the blue. They wear in World Juniors. Austin, curious to see how many guys don't go to Italy next year because of their performances in this tournament. I still remember. I was talking earlier today, Shep. I still remember when people thought that Stevie got screwed over for Canada Cup 91, and they blame Mike Keenan for it. Keenan was the coach at the Hawks at the time, and they blamed Mike Keenan for it. And well, he's not going to say yes. Are you kidding me? Your nation comes a calling. Right. Are you kidding me? Hockey Canada calls you and goes, "Hey, Steve, we'd love you to come try out for the team." You're there every time, man.
No doubt.
Between.
I don't know how you can doubt that. Who in their right mind doubts that? It's ridiculous.
All right, you want to go watch hockey? I do.
Yeah.
All right. All About Catering LLC is a full-service caterer. Graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events. Maybe you want to watch Four Nations. Anything you need catering for, from 25 to 4,000 people, All About Catering will take care of you. For Rick and the gang, customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal, so do not sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus and all their 5-star reviews. Give them a call, 586-731-1398, to get your event started. Shep, enjoy the game.
You too, buddy. Have a great week.
Fantastic. All right, thank you guys as well. Bye-bye. God bless you. Keep hope alive.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.
So I'm saying